Wayanad continues to be a site of death and despair over 24 hours since 3 landslides hit Wayanad in a span of 4 hours. Rescue operations have not yet ended. The death toll is at 151 and it is expected to rise further as rescue workers continue to retrieve the dead bodies. Towns, homes, roads, everything has been washed away. Meanwhile, leader of opposition and former Wayanad MP Rahul Gandhi along with his sister Priyanka Gandhi, who were earlier supposed to visit Wayanad today, have cancelled their visit due to adverse weather conditions. Governor Arif Mohammed Khan will visit Wayanad and Kozhikode today. Heavy monsoon rainfall is likely to pound Kerala, with the Indian Met Department issuing a red alert for 5 districts, warning of extreme heavy rainfalls. An orange alert for 7 districts and also a yellow alert for 2 districts has been issued. Educational institutions in 12 districts except for Tirunanthapuram and Kollam will remain closed today due to heavy rain. Over 72 hours and the coaching centre tragedy that claimed the lives of 3 UPSC aspirants, Delhi cops find a scapegoat in the SUV driver who drove past the institute. Driver's wife calls the arrest unlawful. Opposition's car census debate takes an ugly turn. BJP's Anurag Thakur takes a veiled jibe at leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi. Gandhi retorts, says those who fight for the marginalized often gets insulted. India bloc leaders join in to support Rahul Gandhi. Hyderabad techies job celebrations turn into a nightmare after she is raped by childhood friend and also 2 others. This is at a party that she threw to celebrate her bagging a job. As per the latest report, in 2023, India reported nearly 30.45 lakh dog bite cases, which have resulted in 286 deaths. This is according to the Home Ministry data. And for the same year, the number of anti-rabies shots was 46.5 lakhs, as reported by the National Centre of Disease Control. Fresh protests have broken out in the Venezuelan capital, Caracas, after the disputed result of the country's presidential election. Thousands gathered in the city centre to show their opposition to President Nicolas Maduro's claim of victory. Anti-government activists across Venezuela are toppling the giant statues of Hugo to express their anger over the alleged stealing of elections. Thousands of opposition supporters gathered in the capital for a peaceful rally against the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro. Opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez and also opposition leader Maria Corina Machado were also present at the rally. Opposition supporters have been taking to the streets after Gonzalez announced that his campaign had the proof it needs to be shown that he won the country's disputed election. Protesters also held large Venezuelan flags and also signs with anti-Maduro messages. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has also blamed the opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez for protests following the country's disputed election results. Maduro has vowed to detain opposition leaders as demonstrations continued over the country's disputed election results. As both sides defended their claim to victory, thousands of their supporters took to the streets of the capital. Local officials say that around 750 people have been arrested so far. Meanwhile, Costa Rica has offered asylum to Venezuela's opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez and also leader Maria Corina Machado as tensions mount in the country over its disputed election results. Costa Rica's Foreign Minister Arnoldo Andres said that the Central American government was prepared to give political asylum or even refugee status to both of them. Also, the United States has also called on Venezuela to release the full, transparent and also detailed polling results from Sunday's election as international criticism of President Nicolas Maduro continues to mount. White House also assured the United States stands on the side of the democratic aspirations of the Venezuelan people, including supporting their right to express their views freely and without reprisal. A large crowd of anti-Muslim protesters clashed with the UK police in a northern English town where 3 girls were stabbed to death during an attack on a Taylor Swift-themed event on Monday. The violence erupted shortly after a peaceful vigil was attended by hundreds in the center of Southport to mourn the victims of the stabbings. Prime Minister Keir Starmer also condemned the violence. A boisterous crowd of supporters filled the roughly 8,000 capacity basketball arena at the Georgia State University to cheer on Vice President Kamala Harris as she continued her presidential election campaign. As she mentioned the former president's legal woes, the crowd interrupted and chanted, "Lock him up." Harris hasn't yet formally seized the Democrat nomination, but she is the only one who met the qualifications to vie for it. The director of the controversial Project 2025, Paul Dance, has stepped down. He has announced that he will now focus on getting Donald Trump back to the White House. Paul Dance had earlier worked with Trump administration and was now heading the Project 2025, which is a blueprint for a potential second Donald Trump term. The position is being taken over by Kevin Roberts, who is the president of Heritage Group, which is the organization behind the project. And Israel carried out a rare strike on Beirut, which it said killed the Hezbollah commander who was allegedly behind a weekend rocket attack that killed 12 young people in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights. Hezbollah, though, has not yet immediately confirmed the commander's death. California's spark fire is now the fifth largest wildfire in the state's history. At the same time, dozens of other fires continue to rage in the western United States and also Canada, and thousands have been forced to evacuate. In fact, in Southern California, roughly 2,000 people have been ordered to evacuate. Meanwhile, cooler weather has also helped firefighters stop the blazes path near some communities like the Forest Ranch, where some people also began returning to the unscathed homes. Thunderstorms and torrential rain brought another wave of violent floods that caved in roads, crushed vehicles, pushed homes off their foundation, and also led to dramatic boat rescues in northeastern Vermont nearly 3 weeks after the flooding from Hurricane Beryl. Now, the flash flooding, in fact, has yielded similar scenes of catastrophe to the flooding weeks earlier, but on a smaller scale. Cars and trucks were also smashed and covered in mud. Several homes were destroyed and also pushed downstream. Utility poles and power lines were also knocked down. Meanwhile, there are reports of damage across the area of southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, and also southeast Indiana after a storm knocked down trees and also forced street closures. The National Weather System reported fallen trees and also road closures in the towns of Blanchester, Midland, and Clarksville. Some of the knocked down trees landed on power lines, causing over 5,000 outages. Officials say that Meta has now agreed to a $1.4 billion settlement with Texas in a privacy lawsuit over allegations that the tech giant used biometric data of users without their permission. A judge in 2021 approved a $650 million settlement, in fact, with the company over similar allegations of users in Illinois. Now, the Texas lawsuit said that Meta was in violation of a state law that prohibits capturing or selling a resident's biometric information, such as their face or fingerprint, without their consent. Day after Manu Bhaker's monumental achievement, Indian shuttlers PV Sindhu, Lakshya Sen and HS Pranoy will be in action on Day 5 in the singles events. Tokyo 2022 bronze medalist Lavlina Borgohain to also begin her campaign.